Hey everybody, Joe from the Machine Gun Nest, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Maryland 77R, what it is, how you go about filling it out, and when you need it. So first of all, what is the Maryland 77R? Every time you make a firearm purchase, there's ATF paperwork that you have to fill out, of course. The Maryland 77R is essentially just Maryland's version of the ATF paperwork for regulated items within the state that ensures that you are maintaining compliance with Maryland state law. So the 77R mostly applies to pistols, so your traditional handguns. It could also extend to AR pistols and lower receivers, stuff like that. All right, so the first step is actually creating your account. Of course, if you already have your HQL, you'll have created an account for that in order to process your HQL. This is a separate account. However, you will still need your HQL number if you plan on purchasing a pistol. So first things first, like I said, you'll go create your account. I highly recommend that you use an email that you will always have access to, a personal email. Don't use your business email, something that you might not always have, because they do ask you to reset your password very frequently. And if you don't have access to your email the entire time, then it's going to be a huge hassle getting your email changed on the account. You basically cannot create multiple accounts. They use your driver's license number and your own personal information. So if you try to create a new account with a new email and you put in the same old driver's license, it's just going to tell you that an account has already been created, and you're going to have to go through the process of asking the Maryland State Police to change your email for you. All right, so once your account's created, you can go ahead and log in. It will ask you to verify your password using your email, sometimes multiple times. Once you get through all that, go ahead, log in. I'm already logged in onto mine, so we can just go right here. This is the screen that you'll see. And as you can see in the top left-hand corner, it says Start 77R. There are other options here that are for different forms if you're doing something else, but for today, we're only going to be covering the 77R. That is, of course, the most common paperwork that you'll need to be filing in the state of Maryland. Okay, so for this first question here, it asks you what your application type is. For our purposes here at TMGN, you're always going to be placing the first checkmark here. I am purchasing from a firearm retail. And essentially, even if you're transferring a firearm, let's say you're married and you're transferring from you to your wife or husband, that firearm is being received by us, the store, and the store is technically transferring the firearm to your spouse. So, like I said, most of the time it's going to be that top option. We've had people whose applications have been kicked back to us or just canceled completely because they put something else, when in reality they're going through the store, even if it's a person-to-person transfer. Next section is all your personal information. Most of this will be ported over from your account creation, and if you do 77Rs or if you've done them in the past, a lot of that information is going to be saved. So you just want to double check. Make sure that everything is still accurate. You know, if you move around a lot, you might want to definitely make sure that the address is correct. But for the most part, this is all you. As you can see down here at the bottom of the page, it's asking if you are a designated collector. Designated collector status is something that you have to apply for. It does not cost you anything. You just have to fill out the form. Once you fill out the form, you'll get it notarized. A lot of the times, banks will have notaries that you can use. However, some banks are picky about notarizing firearm-specific paperwork. So I would just call ahead, make sure that they're good to do it. Once you get that notarized, you submit it to Maryland State. They go through their administrative process, approve you. Once you're approved and everything's good to go, essentially what designated collector lets you do is transfer as many firearms as you want over as short a time period as you want. Otherwise, if you're not a designated collector, you can do one firearm transfer every 30 days, or you could do 2 firearm transfers every 60 days. So for instance, if I bought a pistol today and I filled out all the paperwork, 7 days goes by and I take it home, I would have to wait 30 more days in order to make another regulated purchase. Or if I bought 2 firearms, 2, let's say, pistols, I would have to wait 60 days before I could make another transaction. Just a quick note about the 60-day waiting period for 2 firearms. They do have to be submitted at the same time, like same transaction. You can't buy a pistol, wait a day, and then buy another pistol and expect that you're going to get them both approved within the 60-day time frame. It has to be the same submission. This next section is essentially authorizing the Maryland State Police to access your health information so they can conduct the background check. I highly recommend that at least the first time you read through this entire paragraph, know exactly what you're agreeing to. After that point, you can click agree and hit next. This next portion is the part where you enter in your HQL number. Some purchases you will not need an HQL for, but if you already have your HQL, I would just put it in there. You'll notice that there is I qualify for an HQL exemption. So if you're military active or retired, if you're a police officer, stuff like that, you will qualify for an exemption. So you can go ahead and click down there, and then you can read the different options and click what is applicable to you. For example, if you were purchasing an AR-15 lower, this is where you would check that you do not need an HQL because lowers are exempt from the HQL requirement in the state. The next section here is a bunch more personal information. Some of the questions are straight up from the ATF forms. Maryland does get a little bit more in depth with it, so you definitely do want to answer these as truthfully as possible. Most of these are yes or no, and there are 4 total pages to go through, so you get down to the bottom of the first one, hit next, and you got 3 more to go. Make sure that when you're filling these out, you are reading and understanding the questions. Nobody is allowed to give you the answer. They are only allowed to explain the question better. So if you're filling out your 77R in store and you say, hey, I don't know what this question means, we can explain it a little better. But we cannot tell you, oh, the answer to this is XYZ. That is illegal. Likewise, if you are filling this out and you cannot read English, you can get these questions translated, but you cannot just have somebody who speaks the language tell you, oh, the answer to this is no for you or whatever. You can just translate the question, explain it best in your native language, and then move on from there. So once you get through all those questions, like I said, make sure you read them, understand them, and answer truthfully. You'll get to this. This page is if you had any additional documents. For instance, if you were committed to a mental institution for depression, let's say, something like that, but you received a certificate saying that you're A-OK, and you answer truthfully on the form of the questions before, this is where you would enter that documentation. Most people are not going to have any documentation that they need to put in here, and if they do, the form will straight up tell you that you need to put it in. So most people can just click through this. Again, make sure that if it says that you need documentation, that you are adding that before you're hitting submit. Once you're done uploading or not uploading any documentation that you may need, down at the bottom you'll see a space for your first and last name. This is legally a signature. I know you're typing it in, it's not a pen on paper signature, but for the purposes of this document, Maryland counts it as a signature. So when you type in your name, that's you signing this document saying that you're verifying everything is true, that you're not lying, that you've given them all the information that they need to the best of your ability. And then after that, you should be good to go. All right, so once you've signed the document and hit submit, you'll come to this page. And as you can see, it will generate an application number for you. When you come in the store to purchase something, we will need that application number. However, in your email that you use to set up this account with, you will also find a PIN number. The FFL will need both of those pieces of information. So if you have your email on your phone, it's easy enough. You can just come in the store, pull up that email. It'll have your application and your PIN number on it, and then we can proceed with the transaction. If you don't have a smartphone or you don't have access to your email, you're just going to want to write down both of those pieces of information and bring them in for us. We here at TMGN do have laptops that you could fill this paperwork out in store, or access your email, whatever you need to get the information so that we can help you out. Just be aware that we will need it. Just so you're aware, you can fill these out ahead of time, and they expire after a year. So if you know that you're going to be making at least one purchase per year, you could fill these out ahead of time. Just keep them in your back pocket for whenever you see something nice and shiny on the shelf, and then take it out. We'll proceed. Like I said, they do expire after a year, however, so be aware. All right, so now that you've submitted your application, you have your application number and your PIN number, and you've picked out a handgun, the process is pretty easy. You come into the store, you swipe your card, we will fill out all the paperwork for the ATF with you. If you haven't done your 77R, we'll do that in store as well. From there, we take your information and we submit it to the Maryland State Police with the serial number of the firearm that you're purchasing attached to it. So from that point on, that application is tied to the firearm that you're purchasing. There is a $10 background check fee. We put it into the Maryland State system for you, but we do not see a penny of the $10. It goes straight to MSP. We have nothing to do with it. We're just tippy-tapping all the information in for them. Once that's all submitted, your background check will begin. There's a mandatory 7-day waiting period. So what'll end up happening is you get your pistol. We submit everything. We'll hold on to it in our facility for the 7 days. After 7 days have rolled by, you should get an email at around 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, saying that you are not disproved. It's a double negative. Just means that they've approved you to come pick it up. If you don't have that email, give us a call and we'll look into it for you. We do constantly check on the status of our applications. So usually we'll catch it before you do. But once you get that email, you can come on in. In the state of Maryland, if you're picking up a pistol, you do need a Maryland-approved bore lock to pick up. The cable locks that come with a lot of pistols are, most of the time, not Maryland-approved. So just because the gun comes with a lock doesn't necessarily mean that we're allowed to let you leave with it. Specifically, the orange cable locks that come from the factory from Glock, those are approved. So if you purchase a Glock or you've had a Glock lock sitting around, you can just come on in, flash that lock, leave same day. So I hope that video has been helpful today. I know that when it comes to maintaining compliance and dealing with the legal paperwork and stuff, it can be really confusing. We're more than willing to help walk you through everything here. So if you have any questions, feel free to come into the store. We will literally go through this step by step. We do it every day with dozens of people. And if we can't give you an answer, we can contact Maryland State Police and get you an answer. So like I said, if you need any help, come on in and we'll see you at the range.